Hey, welcome back to the Virgo channel and Happy New Year. I hope everyone's looking forward to 2024. I can't believe how fast this year actually went. So I want to thank every one of my subscribers, and I look forward to all the new subscribers and to growing the channel with you all. Um, if you're new to my channel, know that I like to look a little bit deeper within my readings. I don't like to just look at what goes on the surface. I look at this spiritual blocks, the shadows, and how they play out as karmic themes, along with what your person feels about you, what they did, what they're going to do. Those things are important, but here at the Virgo channel and my other channel, which is my Psychic Soul Healer channel, it's all about looking at the karma, looking at what you need to heal in order for you to create the type of experience you want to experience. A lot of times we feel like we don't have a choice. We're like, I don't have a choice in my situation. A lot of the times that's just what it appears to look like because it's the perception that we're viewing our situation from, which unfortunately a lot of times we are perceiving our experience through a distorted perception about ourselves. We're not perceiving the situation from a real balanced place. And when I say real balanced place, it's that when we're really grounded and strong within ourselves, when we feel like we can trust ourselves, when we're able to go with the flow of life, that we're able to give and receive of love freely, when we can speak our truth without being afraid, when we're able to set boundaries without being afraid, we're able to see opportunities that come our way, and we're able to hear, which is that knowing, which is claircognizance and clairsentient. Clairsentience is clear feeling, claircognizance is clear knowing. For all you empaths out there, if you say that you don't have claircognizance, it's that you're blocked. And a lot of times people are blocked because they're not in their body. They're not strong within themselves. And not just strong within themselves, but the whole root chakra is strong within ourselves, strong within the earth. That's how we contribute to the earth. It's how well we're able to connect with people on an emotional and deep level. It's how vulnerable we can be. So a lot of times we perceive strong as someone that it doesn't show any emotion, that's afraid to show emotion. So they always act mad. Someone that gives very little. Someone that wants to appear as if they're angry all the time or frustrated or just they're not strong within themselves. And it's crazy because I actually grew up with somebody that was like that. So I know what that is. My father was the most nicest man that you'd ever want to meet. But in my sister's wedding pictures, he's not smiling in every single picture. I said, Dad, why aren't you smiling? He goes, no one likes when people smile. He said something really like insane. And I was just a little kid, so I didn't really understand what he was talking about. But my father grew up in an environment where you weren't allowed to express yourself and show vulnerability. You weren't allowed to feel and express your emotions. So that happens a lot of times, especially if you're a highly sensitive person. And for whatever reason that I'm sharing this story, I'm kind of feeling like in today's story, we're going to be dealing with a person that was not allowed to feel their emotions. So, Virgo, you may be connected to someone that is emotionally handicapped, that they appear to be very strong, but they're not. So, we're going to look at the shadows today. That's what we're going to focus on because like I said, there's many different realities that play out at one time. Karma does not mean bad. We associate it with bad. It means learn, depending on what you do. So we will know what you did do, and what this person did. But if we don't understand why a person does what they do, or why you do what you do, then you'll never understand why your relationships manifest the way that they do, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, all you need to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word in the video. Word in the video comes with my deck, the Psychic Soul Healer deck. It's also how I open up every reading. So all you need to do is write the word in your comment bar. You'll know if I chose you, if I wrote the word winner underneath. If I did, we'll correspond back and forth on YouTube, figure out best day and time that works for both of us. And then I will also most likely ask you to reach out to me through my email on like on the YouTube platform that we're corresponding back and forth on. And that's to make sure that you get the link the day of the reading, or if I sent it the night before, that I know that you got it. Because a lot of times people, the day of the reading, they're all fearful that they're not going to be able to, find the link. Now, also know this, that if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you need to be ready to get a shadow reading. If you're not ready to get a shadow reading, this is not going to be the channel for you, because we are going to look at them. I feel like shadow readings are more ethical, because there's many different realities that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness depends on it. And you are in charge of your destiny. Only you can make your life be good or bad. And it should be really up to you to determine whether you want it to be good or bad. And obviously, if you're on channel, like you want it to be good, you're getting advisory. So I give more an advisory style reading, because you have free will. And like I said, there's many different realities that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness will determine your behaviorisms, your habits, and fixing those behaviorisms and habits will then change all other realities, because you're changing you. And it's not just beneficial in one area. If you have a spiritual block, it's affecting every area of life. And first of all, it's like we can't just get rid of a spiritual block. It doesn't work that way. It needs to be integrated. It needs to be integrated, meaning you need to have a new awareness, and then you need to implement a new ritual, a new habit, a new protocol, whether that's getting up in the morning and doing body-mind work, breath work, meditation. There needs to be some sort of healing modality implemented to recondition the nervous system after trauma. Psychological trauma, there is no difference between physical and emotional. The body doesn't know the difference. The same as it doesn't know the difference if it's emotional trauma. It just sees it as a threat. And so it's psychologically and emotionally the way that we react. We form coping mechanisms. These coping mechanisms, once we leave the environment which is where we implemented this spiritual practice to survive, like this imbalance, because that's usually what it is. If you grew up in an environment where there was trauma, a psychological response would be, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, and then not breathing. Sitting there in shallow breathing, because you're in the fight, flight, or freeze mode. So your nervous system becomes over responsive. You begin to unconsciously train your nervous system to live in survival mode. Not realizing that automatic behaviorisms are what happens when we live in survival mode for too long. So unless you recondition those parts of you, you're not going to be able to integrate the spiritual lesson. And that's why I'm saying people have new awarenesses and they say all the time, I forgive my mother, I forgive my father, I forgive this person. I'm past that. I don't understand why. But you might have a new awareness, but without seeing yourself differently and actually embodying the new emotional response and seeing a different version of yourself, you haven't integrated it, or a different aspect of your situation and how you handled the situation, or your connection to the situation. Whatever it is, you need to see a new perception and you have to embody it. That is how we integrate the spiritual lesson. So on any one of my channels, understand, I can give you awareness. And if you, again, wind up getting a shadow healing subscription, we will do all the healing modalities to help you heal the effects of your trauma. However, you are your own healer. You will have to go out on your own and figure out how to, how to manifest your life. We give you the tools on this site and on my other channel to be able to navigate your life successfully. I give you the tools. I don't just do the inner child work, the shadow healing, the reparenting, but all the healing modalities. And believe me, there are a lot of them because it's a whole body, mind, and spirit integration. Because when we go through any traumatic experience, we detach, we disassociate from ourselves. So it means that we know what happened, but we forgot aspects. And that's fragmented parts of self. And if we're trying to navigate our life through not actually tapping into our emotions, well, then we're only coming from part of ourselves. And in life, we need to come from a balanced perception, which is not just logical and analytical, but we need to also be heart-centered. And our actions and our behaviorisms need to be in alignment with the fact that we are heart-centered. We can't be someone that talks about other people or bashes other people and then claim that we're like a healer or someone that's a spiritual person. Or we may be a spiritual person, that person may be, but they need a lot of healing. And they definitely shouldn't then be claiming to be a teacher. So, I mean, everything needs to be in alignment. And that's just alignment with the laws of God, the laws of love, the laws of nature, and the laws of the universe, which are the laws of love, of unconditional love. So again, if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you need to do all those things. All important links you can find in the description box. The word is going to be stuck. You're going to write the word stuck in your comment bar. Now, as I shared, I open up every single reading. Now, if you're new to my channel, for those of you that have already visited my channel, you know this, but for those of you that don't, the word of the day is not just the word I want you to write in your comment bar. It's always the word that I begin my reading with. It triggers my intuition of what spirit wants me to talk about and who this reading is for. And so, Virgo, I feel like you're in connection with somebody that they're stuck, and because they're stuck, you're stuck. Or vice versa. Again, energy is fluid. Interpret it as it best resonates. So they're stuck because I feel like they have attachments. And so I don't know what those attachments are, but meaning they're comfortable in their ways, even though their ways are not healthy and balanced. They're comfortable in being uncomfortable, and that happens while they're too afraid of the unknown. I feel like this person judges a lot from past experiences. They're always like strategizing. They are never coming from a place of emotion. They are never. That's why I felt that energy earlier with my dad. I said, this person, you're connected, Virgo, to someone that is just very analytical, very logical, and they try to treat you this way. They didn't treat you as if they cared at all. I feel like they they have a very hard time showing any vulnerability whatsoever. And the thing is, they have feelings for you. So, of course, they're stuck because without actually being able to communicate and show some sort of intimacy where they can let their guard down, you're not. I feel like you're not going to go anywhere. And this person is so afraid to do that. And so when a person has a very hard time expressing their emotions, it's not uncommon that they have attachments. And those attachments will come in the form of addictions, maybe even codependent relationships, because these people don't feel comfortable communicating. Because again, to be able to communicate effectively, you have to show vulnerability. You have to have compassion for people. You have to show some sort of an empathetic nature. And I feel like this person like feels almost like they were trained or conditioned not to feel their emotions. That's the best way. And so relationships obviously are very difficult. They always come across as phony, not really, again, it's very surface. And they feel as if everyone judges them. And I'm feeling like you're stuck, Virgo, because you're connected to this person. So there's a little bit of a cognitive dissonance going on with inside of you where you're like, I like this person. I love this person, but I also don't like this person. It's like I feel our soul connection, I feel our spiritual connection, but everything which you do wrong. I almost like feel as if like you wait for this person to do something and they take forever to do it. And then by the time that they do it, it's like they like kind of get in their own way. They sabotage it. So let's just say the person that wants to have a birthday party for you, but it's a surprise birthday party. They would forget forget to hire a caterer, not have a cake, picked up a cake from the supermarket, Entenmann's food store. Someone might have even sat on it, like the people would have came in at all different times. Not, there would be no structure, no organization, no. So you might be like, oh yeah, I'm happy that this person cares about me because the idea of it, but then when you see what it looks like, you're like, I'm not really happy with this. It's like I feel like every little thing that they do triggers me. And so understand when we have a relationship that triggers us, it tells us more about ourselves than it does about the other person, believe it or not. Because no one's supposed to be able to stir up a negative emotion. Obviously, that's next to impossible because there is a human part of ourselves that's not spiritual. We have an ego part of ourselves. And so when we, are talking to a person and they say something that makes us feel not validated, not good enough, not important enough, which is what I feel like your person did. So, and I feel like they overcompensated in this as well. So they're not someone that's very strong within themselves, first of all. And so they're not strong with the area of emotional intelligence. So they have feelings for you, but they don't like emotions. So automatically that's a bad thing because every time the person has the feeling of emotion, like of real love and caring, it overstimulates them. And then it triggers them to feel as if they need to act a certain way. So this is a person that when you don't see them, if you text them, you might get like a line, a few words text. But if you were to run into this person, they'd have diarrhea of the mouth. They wouldn't shut up. They tell you things that you'd be like, why did you just tell me that? This person just chewed my ear off. And it's because the real self is a highly sensitive person. That person is a real highly sensitive person. They're not who they're portraying themselves to be. And so when they don't see you, They can departmentalize, but when they see you, they can't because it's real. So it triggers them. So they're stuck. Then we want to see something else, but we have to understand why, because you'll be able to understand why then a person feels the way that they do. You'll understand why they did what they did. And by understanding why a person does what they do, that takes the focus off of you, where you don't have to take things personally. You say you put it back onto that person, say, that's your baggage, that's your wounding, that's not mine. However, we are going to look and see what wounds opened up because of this person being stuck. And didn't I say, I said I felt like this person had attachments, and I knew that already. And it's like they had attachments mainly for because from a very young age they were abandoned. Now, abandoned not all the time means that someone left. Sometimes emotional abandonment is every time I showed emotion, every time I showed weakness, like I was ignored, I was not supported. So again, abandonment from the child's self, that's that, that kid part of self that had the brain isn't fully developed yet. So it's from what it perceives. And remember, the child's self is much, much more sensitive than your adult self. Your adult self gets hardened over time. It gets a bigger ego. It's seen more. It learns more. And so through what we see and observe, and the internet has created a lot with that, by the way, to the point that, we know what war actually looks like. We see the dead bodies from the war. Like that's not something that it's imagine we're actually seeing it, and that creates emotions obviously, and that creates like you become harder because what it's like you realize that there are people out there that really hate people that much to do stuff like that to each other. And so, and that's, it makes you really think and then protect yourself, obviously, or want to protect yourself. Where when we come from a vulnerable state, when we're sensitive and we have feelings, we want to get close, we want to be emotional. So, like I said, I feel like when your person showed feelings and emotions, they were um they were almost like punished, like ignored, gaslit, like not all the time you got to get yelled at, just a certain look. When you're a kid, you already know I can't do that. That's not acceptable. So we look and we see again, okay, so like I said, their emotions, and it was because there was abandonment. So your person's really like has like a fear of abandonment. Now, you may say, why did I attract this person into my life? Well, life goes to life. You're a mirror of who what comes into your life. So again, you could also be a highly sensitive person that's not very strong with mastering your emotions, maybe not as emotionally intelligent, and that might mean you're very emotional intelligent when it comes to be able to reading other people. But how well you deal with your emotions when you go through traumatic experiences, because that's what the scale is. Spirit says light goes to light. You can say, I'm better. Well, if you're not up to par, there's only two energies, love and fear. So unfortunately, you could be someone that is in the healing process, but still not as emotionally intelligent because other people still have the power to rattle you, where spirit's saying you're not strong enough within yourself. From a spiritual perspective, we have to understand why the psychological imbalance is actually comes across, why your energy is what it is from a real core level. And that's again the inner child. And that's what this is, why you would attract a person into your life that had, these type of wounds. Again, anger and chains. So, like I said, when we have root chakra imbalances, from abandonment, it's a lot of times what comes with that is shame. Shame, guilt, like these lower and heavier emotions. And so when it's a root chakra imbalance, which is I'm not strong within myself, I'm not, because I'm not going to really navigate my life from my full capacity. I'm only going to navigate my life from a, you know, a very logical and analytical way. Well, then, what's going to happen is I'm going to see the world in very black and white. So what happens is that you, Virgo, being connected to this person, like, and they're creating so much anger because everything that they do, they don't do it right. And there's also, even though that there's love. So you're like being bound to like being angry because this person isn't on your vibration. So like you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still going to be a pig. It's like this person is at this vibration. They're not going to get to be a higher vibration because they have feelings for you and because you are that vibration. They're attracted to you because of your vibration, but they have to learn how to integrate those spiritual lessons. So you will continue to feel anger. Now, like I was saying before, growing up in an environment where you're not fully able to be yourself also creates a lot of anger, and also creates codependency, which is attachment. And the codependency, again, getting into relationships with people that are imbalanced. And imbalanced is that not all the time is the focus on the addiction. We're looking more at the behavior and like addicted. And that's like I said, I was like, the person has like addiction. And so everything becomes an addiction, including the way that their relationships go. Because when a person feels inadequate and they're not going to really, and it's mainly because they don't know how to communicate effectively. That's why. It's like it creates a lot of problems in the relationship. And what it also does, if a person isn't communicating, then the other person is constantly navigating and then over time gets accused of being controlling, of being, because like I said, the person, your person that's connected to you doesn't navigate the relationship at all. And when they do, it looks a mess. It's almost like you feel like they don't think. But understand that's pretty much what happens when a person has a spiritual block. It's not that they don't think, but they overthink so much that it's like they don't think. It's like someone that thinks so much that it's just flat lines, because you're not going to get, only in the now do you get divine guidance. That divine guidance is your intuition that comes about as a call to action to do something right after you get it. That's how you know that it's real, opposed to just like overthinking, especially when you're only looking at things from a very logical and analytical standpoint, and you refuse to be vulnerable and you refuse to be able to communicate. But we can see how the inner child wounds eventually manifest within problems within the relationship, and then the feelings of inadequacy wind up turning into addiction. But what is it really? It's the anger. Anger is chains, but addictions are also chains, right? So then let's take a look and see how they really feel about you, because yeah, that's right. The person could actually show you, again, like not good behaviorisms, give you nothing, and still have feelings for you. And they also could know exactly that they don't want to give you anything. Their intention could be bad. Not uncommon for a person that has addictions, and also someone that holds on to a lot of anger. This is what we see. But person holds on to anger because they were never allowed to be their true self. They had to suppress who they were because whoever was in their environment when they were growing up, parent, sibling, somebody of authority, didn't like when they expressed themselves, when they showed some vulnerability. So it stifled them. So it doesn't mean that your person's not smart, but they're not emotionally intelligent. They're just overthink. And so they can be someone that's very successful in business, and life tends to do well for them in that. But like I said, not relationship. I love you unconditionally. Like I said, not uncommon. Because you have to realize soulmates come into our life not because it's an easy relationship, it's because to teach, to heal, to help us evolve, to show us what we are lacking, to make us change. And in this circumstance, this person has feelings for you where they love you unconditionally, but they're like afraid to change, but they have to change. That's the whole thing when we say, well, how God help us? Well, God does. God is the universe, and the universe brings us people, situations, and experiences to help us be different. The universe has brought you into this person to heal that, to heal the effects of, to heal, I can't talk today, to heal their trauma around not being able to express themselves. And I think that that's huge. I think that that's huge. I love you. Again, I love you unconditionally. I love you, literally. Two, I love you. So the one thing's for sure is that this person loves you. And so they've tried to walk away, I feel like. This is why this person's like, I really know I love you. You're my person. And they feel that way because I feel, Virgo, that you have your own life. You're busy in your own life. The way that you deal with people is to throw yourself into your own passions, into your work, into something that is just yours. So again, whether it's your job, that you love your job, it's a passion, it's hobbies, it's interests, something that you do. And so you give this person time and space. And I feel like you might have said something to them, but nothing over the top. Most people really don't like the way that your person is. I feel like you just detached from this person. So the way that you handled it, this person gets a lot of consequences for saying the wrong thing or not saying anything or doing the wrong thing after they say something. They just get in their own way. But that's because, again, at a very young age, they were made to feel inadequate because of the way that they, expressed themselves, the way that they showed their vulnerability. That happened a very long time ago. I don't want to even say a very long time ago. I'm sure it still happens. But in the 70s and in the 60s and in the 70s, like, and even in the early 80s, where macho men, fathers would raise their sons and tell them, you're not allowed to cry. Big boys don't cry. Go out and be a man. Go out and like hit that person or do whatever men do, like to prove that you're a man. And your person like was a sensitive person. It wasn't that they weren't a man. It's that, like when people need to overextend the fact that they're a man, it's because you don't feel strong in the fact that you're a man. So you got to prove that you're a man, like almost like your ego is is the persona that you're a man, instead of the fact that you can be vulnerable and soft and communicate and be loving and still be a man. If that's the case of this, or if it was a girl, don't show your feelings. Don't be more of a business person. How we're geared, how we're raised, and usually that's passed down. Like a behaviorism is looked upon as a bad behaviorism if it's like it's as when we're expressing our emotions only if people felt uncomfortable with that, not because that they were bad. So, but the thing is that we identify with it being bad and we love the person that didn't like it. So that's usually the problem. We want to be loved by that person. So we adapt to being a certain way, but that's not our true self. So life is never going to manifest the way that we want to. It's always going to manifest as if we have to strategize everything to make it look a certain way instead of coming from ourselves. Like life is messy. Life is messy and it's a process and I feel like they watch it and they say you and I were too young. So I'm feeling like I feel like they were when too young. I'm feeling like spiritually, this person was very immature. Was very immature. They play a lot of games to try to again have a conversation and to get you to give more energy. Like they just did a lot of things because of their fear of being abandoned. So they're like, I'm not going to really give anything, so I'm not really going to get hurt. But the problem is that in them focusing that they're not going to give you, they're focusing the whole time on you and what they're growing, and they're growing a bond. I feel like they were growing a bond, and they were also focused on not loving you, but they were manifesting that they were actually loving you because they were focused so much on you. And that's what they realized. They realized that it was like they couldn't look away. So you might not have even talked to this person. This person was watching you on social media. You were talking to people. So it's again, they chalk up that it was a timing thing. I wouldn't even say that too young. I mean, maybe for some of you, it's a collective reading, but I'm really kind of feeling like it was just a timing thing, that it was just not the right time. I'm feeling like for some, they were getting out of a relationship, they just got out of a relationship. So they didn't want to go back into another real relationship. They just wanted to kind of like blow off steam and find themselves. That's what they wanted to do. And um, so that was that. Now let me just see. I want to pull some spiritual cards to end this reading because I know that it's probably quite long. But these readings can be a little bit longer because they explain a lot. Okay, we are coming into union. I feel like this person feels as if they're gonna like that, they're healing. And so because they're healing, they're going to come to you and be more vulnerable. So they feel as if you already have feelings for them. This person's a little cocky, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like they feel like you're a soulmate, so that there is unconditional love. They can still feel that you're there. They don't know exactly that you will be. And I don't feel like they're allowing them to think one way or the other until they're finished. Again, very logical and analytical. Like, I can't do anything about it anyway if he or she doesn't like me. But I'm going to focus on that because that's going to be the catalyst that helps me transition into my new life in being the real me. And because you showed me how to do that, and then I'm just going to work to be in your life to try and be that person in your life because I do love you unconditionally and I've been watching you from so far away for a long time. I always felt I had a higher calling in life, and our connection brings me more clarity on it. And so they again feel as if you're like a soulmate twin flame, like again, that you and them have like you have gifts where they don't have gifts, that you understand them, they see your talents, they know their own talents. Again, this person's very business oriented. One more. So I would say that if it's again, I'm awakening. I know more now than I'm letting on. So again, this situation like is like where they are now is really like awakening, helping them to awaken. They're awakening because, like I said, I just feel like your person like had really, you and your person had root chakra imbalances. Like this person was never allowed to express themselves at all. Like, and so that, like I said, they were always coming from a logical, analytical way. And when it came to creating their life, but then their life wasn't really built on any strong foundation. And then what you see is everything in this person's life is going to like crumble or crash where they are because it's not built on their truth, not really on who they are. And I believe that being that you're vulnerable and they have this connection with you and that they feel like you're not going to judge them for like who they are, that in the beginning they might not have given you the relationship, but they almost like, I don't want to say like stalked you from afar, but like collected information and stalked you from afar to figure out whether or not you would be the right person for them because they did feel a connection. But the thing is, they tend to get very overwhelmed by their emotions and then not be able to say, is this my emotions or are they, your emotions? It's like, I'm not sure. I can't make a decision and I need to like logically figure it out. And this person tries not to incorporate their emotions because the emotions got them into a lot of trouble growing up. So, like I said, and you're not showing them anything. I feel like you're like in separation from them because you can't figure out whether you want to be in a relationship with someone if you're in two separate places and trying to figure out in the mind. You know that by actually being vulnerable and creating intimacy, which is what this person is why they're stuck. They don't want to do that part. They don't want to do that part. So it's like they feel like they're healing and awakening because they feel like they can't help it anymore. They feel like that they can come to you and be vulnerable and that again, probably most likely through doing something, because like I said, this person feels as if you and them are soulmate twin flames, that you're supposed to do something together. Possibly on the fact of what you're doing because they're watching you do something. So you're inspiring them. So they want a part of it. They want to be a part of it, but they also feel like they can be very helpful to you. And so, and they feel like, again, just the connection is perfect, that they could be themselves. So we asked Spirit, what is the energy for those of you that want to be in this connection? Because I'm not going to ask whether you do or whether you don't, because it's a collective. This is for the people that do want to be in this connection. Understand, soulmate twin flame relationships are not easy relationships. The focus would need to be on something, like as in creating, because you're dealing with two totally different types of people, like the very paradoxical energy. One person's very logical and analytical, the other person's emotional and sensitive. Like it's just two totally different energies there. And so what I'm feeling is that to balance the energy, because especially if someone is highly sensitive and they're trying not to like be sensitive, well, they're going to be emotionally imbalanced. And it's going to come out in their behaviorisms, which means they're going to have a big ego sometimes. And that's most likely going to trigger you, Virgo. So you have to know, just because you're getting this person because, well, you're actually again out of balance, just out of balance, maybe more in a way that you are very sensitive and very emotional and like tend to like focus more on that instead of the logical and analytical part. And so it's not one or the other, it's both. And this coming into union is to come into balance. It's where your person and you come together and you're the other half to help create something much bigger than you, something to help humanity. So we say, okay, well, a lot of times too, we can say that we don't want to be with this person, but you don't have control over your soulmate twin flame, because the passion that's there, it's just there. It's undeniable. It transcends a lifetime. So you're thinking you haven't talked to this person for a few months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. This relationship, you knew this person for like 1,800 million friggin' lifetimes. And you're saying it's been like a few months or a year. You think that that's a long time. It's not a long time, not in spiritual years. So listen to life. I am attentive to the world around me. Signs and symbols guide me to success. I listen and discover the way to the eternal. So it's again, it's being about being grounded. I'm feeling like Virgo, for you, only in the now do you get divine guidance. And you already are intuitive. You already are sensitive. So to be able to read the energy, that there's a whole spiritual thing, and so what will happen with you when you're with this person, because you're not as strong in the mental and analytical part of your mind, is they're going to trigger you, and they're going to trigger you and making you feel a certain way, but none of those ways are true. That's the wound talking. What spirit is saying is, it's like, get grounded. Get grounded, listen to life, and understand. Be attentive. Be in the moment, be in the now. Pay attention to the signs and the symbols. And what part of the signs and symbols is that intuition that comes in the moment, comes in the now, and there's a call to action after it. So don't do anything before then. You have to wait for the moment and listen. Listen, use your senses, but really be grounded. And that's how we can listen to life. When we're up in our head and we're like, oh, what this person did, how they made me feel, why they did this, why they did that. Well, it's going to make you really imbalanced, and the relationship is not going to work. You're going to knock heads. This person also needs to be in the moment and in the now. And that means listen to their intuition. They're up in their head trying to figure out like how not to seem vulnerable, how to navigate their life without like being vulnerable, without showing anything. And so they need to also be grounded and be able to go with the flow of the relationship. And we can feel when a relationship is going easy. There's a flow, there's a rhythm, just like how there's a rhythm to life. When life is working for us, it just goes. It's like, oh, it just automatically comes here. I was came downtown today, and when I went downtown, there was a parking spot. As soon as I was meant to be here, I felt like everything was so easy. I had the 3 hours. It was almost like the universe saying, you should go for a walk. And that's why that parking spot was there for me. It just flew. Like when things are supposed to happen, there's a feeling, and so if we're up in our head, which is what happens when a person gets triggered, they go right up to that core belief, and that the mind chatter takes over, and those automatic responses come out. And that's when you guys will sabotage the connection. The spirit says is going to really be all about being in the moment, being in the now, being able to listen to yourself, listen to others, and without losing yourselves. That's why it's all about like being able to listen to spirit. Let spirit guide you. And the spirit will guide you not just through your intuition, but through, again, the signs and the symbols that you see within your environment. It's the way that the universe is always showing you that it supports you. It's the way that God shows you that it loves you and that it's never going to abandon you. Otherwise, you can't heal abandonment. You cannot heal abandonment because you don't know what's going to happen. So you're always going to feel stuck. And then if you actually even move, you might move, but you might say, well, I need this in order for me to move. I need something outside of me to be whole. And spirit says, no, you don't. Again, you're me in physical form. Your person is me in physical form. You're just supposed to be an expression of me. And that's through, again, giving and receiving of love, through your free will, what you choose. Your twin flame, your soulmate comes into your life to make you step into the best version of yourself. And so, yes, they're going to trigger you, and they're also going to make you change, but there is a catalyst, and that catalyst is through creation, through, again, making something. And that's where you come in, Virgo. I believe that you're the visionary, you're the idea person. And that's why your person says, I'm coming into union because I'm opening up my heart. I'm starting to listen to my intuition. But it's still a process, is what I'm trying to get. All right, Virgo, I hope you enjoyed this message. And if you did enjoy this shadow message, let me know. And don't forget to write the word in your comment bar. And the word of the day is stuck. Stuck. I hate that energy, stuck energy. Again, just feel like you're going nowhere. But you have a lot of fatigue when you, again, are in that state of feeling stuck. So hopefully for the new year, we cleanse out all that stuck energy. And until next year, I'll see you soon. Bye.